Greetings, wizards. Welcome to the Papercraft Wizard channel. My name is Kelly, and I'm so excited you're here. In this video, we're going to be creating a shaker frame for the inside cover of our Charmed mini album. Let's get started. To begin, I'm going to use some cardstock pieces, and these pieces measure a 1/2 inch by 5 7/8 inch. We also have 3 strips that are a 1/2 inch by 6 7/8 inches. We have 2 pieces of acetate, and these are each 5 7/8 inches by 7 7/8 inches. We have a piece of decorative cardstock 5 7/8 by 7 7/8, and a 6 by 8 piece of cardstock. For the 6 by 8 piece of cardstock, we're going to turn this into a frame. So we want to have 3/4 of an inch all the way around the outside of the frame. So we'll be cutting a rectangular hole that's 4.5 by 6.5 inches right in the center of that 6 by 8 frame. If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell for notifications. The orange piece of decorative paper is the cover of our shaker frame. We're going to cut a rectangular hole that's 4.25 by 6.25 inches. And here we have our frame. I'm going to use some ink and ink up the edges of the decorative paper to give it a little bit more of a finished look. Now we'll add our liquid adhesive to the back of our decorative paper frame and adhere that onto our cardstock frame. And I'll use my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. And now we'll flip the frame over so we can add our first piece of acetate. The acetate I'm using has a protective film on both sides of it. So I'm going to cut that part out while I peel that off. But it is important to mention because I'm using this for a shaker frame and it ended up being really difficult to work with this acetate for this purpose. My little shaker bits were bouncing all over the place, sticking to everything. So I do not recommend a acetate that has a protective film for shaker bits. It just creates too much static when you remove that film. Next, we'll add some 3/8 inch score tape around the edges of that acetate. I'm using my bone folder to make sure that score tape is nice and secure on our acetate. However, I am not rubbing the bone folder over the acetate itself. Obviously, that would cause scratching. And we'll pull off this release paper and put this acetate onto the frame. And again, I'm going to use my bone folder to secure that acetate onto our frame. And I'm just going to be very cautious not to hit any of the acetate that's actually going to be seen. I'm going to use some foam tape around the edges to create a little space for our shaker bits. I want to make sure that this frame is completely closed up so that our little shaker bits don't come out. I like to use these little squares of foam tape right in the corners just to make sure that I've closed that off so none of our shaker bits come out. I'm using my powder tool here, and this is partly to make sure that the sides of the foam tape don't have adhesive on them. We don't want our shaker bits to get caught up in that. And then also because, like I said, that acetate is a little staticky, I was just hoping that would help out a little bit. It did not help out a lot for that, but it does help with the stickiness of the tape. As you can see, I used quite a bit of shaker bits. Probably didn't need this much, but I just had a really good time with it. Adding the second layer of acetate onto the frame is a little bit difficult. We want to make sure that when that acetate touches that sticky foam, that we are right in the perfect spot because we cannot move it, especially with the shaker bits. It's a disaster, trust me. So I asked for a little help. Thank you, Mom. I got a couple of extra hands in here to help make sure that nothing moved and that I was able to line this up without too many problems. I'm using my bone folder to make sure that acetate is nice and secure and our shaker bits won't go flying about. And here we have the top part of our cute little shaker frame. Now we're going to adhere our spacer strips together in groups of 3. We have 3 that are slightly longer and then 6 that are slightly shorter. The shorter ones, of course, go on the sides and the longer ones will go on the bottom. And this is to create a space for our photo mat. My second layer of acetate was a little bit crooked, so I do have a little bit of acetate hanging out farther than I'd like. I'm just going to use some scissors and trim that off. Now I'm going to add some score tape to our little spacer bars that we adhered together, and then I'm going to place those on the back of this shaker frame. Now we're going to add some liquid adhesive to the back of those spacer bars, and we'll center that over the front inside cover and secure that down. I'm using my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. So I've been playing around with the design of how I want to decorate this shaker frame, and I think I've just about got it. I'm going to add some Lawn Fawn twine to this little tag to give it a little more interest. And then we'll add all of these little decorative ephemera pieces onto the frame and add a few flat back crystals as well. I'm using a combination of adhesive foam squares and liquid adhesive to add these embellishments to the shaker frame. Here we have a piece of base cardstock that is 5 1/4 by 6 3/4 inches. And we also have a decorative paper that is 4.5 by 6.5. And this will be our photo mat and our photo mat cover. I'm using my camera stamp to indicate that a photo may go here. I'm going to add a piece of ribbon to this base cardstock, and this will be our pull to help get the photo mat in and out of the shaker frame. We'll add our liquid adhesive to the back of our decorative paper and adhere that down to the photo mat. And I'll use my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. And our shaker frame is complete. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell for notifications. Thank you for watching. Happy paper crafting.